This is William Richardson, the original money doctor, the voice of reason, with your financial checkup and question of the day. I'm here again with Esther, my daughter. Esther, how you doing?
Hi, Dad. I'm good. It's great to be with you again.
It is. And let's get right into it. Tell me what the question of the day is.
The question of the day comes from emails, messages, callers, and personal contact. Today's question is, what is the difference between someone making $150,000 and $50,000?
What is the difference between someone making $150,000 and $50,000? What do you think it is?
I think it's $100,000.
On the surface, that is exact, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. I have something to share with that, and I'll answer that in just a minute. Okay, this is an interesting question, Esther. We were kind of talking about this. On the surface, it sounds really simple. You know, someone wants to know what's the difference between making $150,000 and $50,000. Okay, well, that's pretty simple, right? Esther came up with it. It's $100,000. On the surface, as we just mentioned, that makes total sense. It means someone had a better job, they made more money, and so they have more money to work with. Is it really? Is it really that simple? If you look at it, you look at these two different families per se. So someone at 150 and 50. Can the person at making 50,000 live better than the person making 150,000? Actually, he can if we break it down. And how can that be? Well, how are they living? What is the meaning of true wealth to that family? Are they following the 10-10-80% rule? What's their why? What's their purpose? So if we have a family making $150,000, do they have more money to work with? You think that they may. You think in most senses they would, because there's a whole other $50,000 to work there. There's also more taxes that they have to pay, so we have to back that out. We have to see where are they spending their money. Are they actually saving that money, or is it just going out on a daily basis into their overhead costs, into their expenses? Really, what are they doing? So if they're saving an extra $20,000 a year and putting that away into their emergency fund, into their side fund, and letting that compound and grow over time for retirement, then yes, they could be in a better situation because they've made more money. They've used their time, their talents, their education, their experience to gain a better job, to gain a better business, to have a better workforce working with them, and then taking that money back and using it correctly. So it really comes back to what the difference is really what the understanding of that individual family is and how they are using the money that they're making, and what are they doing with that particular income. So this family making $50,000, if they're living on $60,000 a year by having to borrow and use credit cards and borrow from Peter to pay Paul, if they're in that environment and overspending, then absolutely you could think that the person making 150 could be in a better position. But if they're doing the same thing, they're actually equal. So if both of them are overspending, undersaving, having their assets in the wrong way, not protecting their money, not having the proper insurance and the proper planning involved, not teaching their children the discipline of money, allowing the government and the school and everyone else to educate their family, both of them could be in a bad situation. So we just can't simply say which one is better or which one is not better without really understanding the dynamics and situation of each individual family, what their situation is and what their purpose is. But on the surface, let's go ahead and just, for example, let's break it up. And let's say in our heads, because everyone thinks, well, if you make more money, you must be better off. So let's go down that road. The person making 150 is better off than the person making 50,000. Okay, we'll agree on that for a moment, but most likely it's generally not the case. But let's say it is. So what are we doing with that $150,000? Okay, and let's say that we're paying, $40,000 of that into taxes after our deductions and everything that that we have. And or we could be a little less than that, depending upon where our particular situation is. What are we doing with the difference? We're putting away some money into our retirement accounts. We're giving some money away to our favorite charity or church. We're living off of the 80%, and we have our core amount of money that we're working with. We either have an emergency fund already, or we're putting away a few $100s a month into that emergency fund, which is paying at the beginning. But we'd like that to be, 3 months worth of salary, then 6 months worth of salary, then a year's worth of salary. So at the minimum, we like to have most families be at $10,000. Now, how much money do you have in your savings account right now? This is an emergency fund. This is not your retirement account, your savings account. Do you have at least $10,000? Probably most of you could say, some of you may, but most people, don't. They have quite less than that in their emergency fund. Now, why do we want to get up to $10,000? And it doesn't matter if you're making the 150 or you're making the 50. If something happens during during the month there, and you have to go and purchase something, do you want to be forced to dip into your retirement account and do what? What do we always talk about? We don't want to stop. If you've been listening for the first time, we don't want to stop the compounding interest, because when we stop compounding interest, we stop that money continuing to grow. So when you have your credit card and your car payment and your house payment, every single time your money continues to go, that you have to pay more money, you have more interest. Well, that same thing can work for you in your favor if you're becoming your own banker, if you allow that money to grow and not touch it. And what's happening there? So you want that emergency fund, so you're always able to tie into that emergency fund if you need to borrow $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 from that, without touching your core money that is coming from the 10% that you've been disciplined, that you've been putting money in over time for whatever that period it is. Or you're just starting out. You're just saying, hey, we've just been listening, we've just been working, we've gone through a book read, we've gone through an online seminar, we've sat one-on-one across the table, and we're actually utilizing and teaching these principles to ourselves. We're learning it, we're living it, and we're teaching it to our children, and we're building it up. We have $5,000 in our emergency fund. Sometimes we have $10,000. Sometimes we're actually able to strategically look at someone's finances and pre-fund their emergency fund up front from what we call found money. A lot of people say, well, that's great. Could you find $10,000 for me? That would really be nice. How do we do that? So we look at your entire financial situation and where do you have money at? What are you doing with that money? And the two greatest things that we always come back to is your retirement accounts, your house. So we're not going to take money out of your retirement account that's taxable and pay taxes on it to dump it into a emergency fund. We will do that to move it over into a strategic tax advantage vehicle for long-term growth and allow that for money in regards to taxes and for that money to go tax-free. So what's the other thing that we have to look at? We have an opportunity to look at the money that is sitting where? Sitting in your home, idle, forgotten equity, forgotten money that you over time, and you have some equity in there. You have it today. Tomorrow, 6 months, a year from now, 3 years from now, the market crashes, we go sideways. That $300,000 of equity that you have, it's $50,000 or it's zero because the market, shifted. When should you have taken an opportunity to get the money out? Today, either by taking out a home equity loan or by selling the property, keeping that equity out, buying a new property, and buying it how? Either 100% cash or buying it on an interest-only loan, which is something that you need to have equity managed planning and detail. It's not something you just want to do. It needs to make sense. You need to plan everything out about that. So understanding, it doesn't matter if you're at 150,000 or 50,000. It's how you use your money. It's how you use the planning. It's how you use the 10-10-8% rule. And it's how you understand everything in relation to what is true wealth. So let's just do a really quick recap. I've talked about a lot of things, all the principles and founding principles that we talk about, the 10-10-80% rule, where to put your money, what is true wealth, equity management. But let's kind of spend just a second back on equity management and talk about that real quick. If you have an opportunity to strategically reposition found money, equity that you have in your house right now, and let's say it's $100,000 that you have access to, when is that money real money? It's real money when you take it out. So if the market crashes tomorrow and that 100,000 is gone, you've lost it. If you can take it out today, why it's actually $100,000, reposition it, not spend it, you have it to use. That's wise principle. Take a look at that, think about that, and with that said, keep your money safe until we meet again.
This is Esther Richardson, and you're listening to The Original Money Doctor with the financial checkup of the day. Ask about our educational, private, and public online seminars, video series, and live broadcasting events. Visit the event calendar at moneydoctoradvisor.com.
Living with purpose and real intent. If you're as concerned as I am, and you're not the type to sit around and wait for something to happen, there's something you can do. A special gift invitation. How to get growth, protection, and income for your money. Send a request for a special promo code to watch this new online video training series absolutely free in the comfort of your home or office. You will learn how hardworking American families protect and control their retirement money and never expose it to stock market risk or massive taxation. Watch this free video series and learn the rules. Send requests to info@citizensfinancialsecurity.com. That's info@citizensfinancialsecurity.com to view video online. Video series is shared as a public benefit for enlightenment.
You've been listening to The Original Money Doctor, inspiring you to rise above it all and plan ahead with guaranteed success. William F. Richardson is The Original Money Doctor. Tune in next week, same time, same channel, 105.5.